Welcome to the Couples Academy show. My name is Hassani.
And I'm Danielle.
And we're here every single morning for a powerful 30-minute segment to start you on your day. It is your morning dew. It is your morning coffee.
Morning
it gets
dew.
you going.
Yeah. I love morning dew.
Morning dew, that's what it is.
You know what? Every morning when I pray the night before, I get a little bit of morning dew. So this is your morning dew.
So what you gonna do?
What are you gonna do with it?
Because
you know what? When I get that morning dew, I actually act on it. Now, the other day I did miss a good one and I didn't write it down and I forgot it. But usually I'm like, yes, that's the answer. And I get up and do it. So if this is gonna be your morning dew, you gotta take action. You gotta move on these things. So thank you for joining us.
That's a good point because
Yeah.
you know what? You're hearing these messages, you're watching us, you're tuning in, but then you go about your business. And it's almost like, check, did that. But this is not the doing. The doing is doing what you hear that you should be doing.
This is the hearing. And what good is it to be a hearer and not a doer?
Not a doer of the
Be a
word.
doer.
Boom, let's get it.
We're flowing today. Well, guys, I just want to welcome you guys to the show. We got some folks still coming in. Make sure when you do come in that you say, hey, I'm here. Wave at us. Let us know where you're tuning in from. That's really important to us to just see just how far this message of good news is spreading. But we are going to, first of all, I want you to like, share, and subscribe. Hit that notification bell if you haven't already done so. Tell all your friends and all your family to make sure that they get on the very next episode.
There it is. All right, guys. There's some things going on in this world. We've been talking about relationships, more specifically infidelity over the last couple of days, and there's some newsworthy stuff out there we want to hit, right?
Oh, okay, yes, we're going to hit the news. I thought we were going to hit the news after the intro, but we'll hit the news now. If you guys are not familiar with Wendy Williams, and I'm sure you are, we all love Wendy Williams, she is actually coming out with a new biopic, which I think is interesting, about her life. And if you do know her, you know that she struggled with alcoholism and drug abuse and infidelity and a lot of other issues in her life where she's telling that story. And I found this interesting article that I read about the production of this story and how it's all coming together. And there was something that she said that I thought was interesting, and I'll quote it. It says, Wendy Williams admitted that she stayed in her marriage because my son's happiness in that time was more important than my own. However, she did not hold back when discovering his infidelity, his meaning Kevin, her ex-husband. I had PIs on him, private investigators, and her. I had people follow them on vacations outside of the tri-state area while I'm here filing my nails, talking to the divorce lawyer and my team of people, and getting my ducks in a row, she shared. And he's out here acting a fool with his boys. By the way, they were very helpful in getting to the bottom of this. Oh, yes. They talked like a bunch of girls. They were very helpful. I guess they thought that they would be the next Miss Hunter. I just think there's so much in that article. Like, the article had a lot to say, but that piece really pulled on my heartstrings because I thought, wow, like, this is somebody who knew she was in a marriage where her husband was not faithful. She had receipts galore because his own friends were reporting about it. And she decides to stay in this relationship because of the sake of the child. And I mean, he's grown now. I think he's like a grown man in college, but that's a long time. I mean, she just finalized her divorce last January.
Wow, so she was in it for a long time. Even though she wasn't happy, even though she knew her husband was unfaithful, she was doing it for the sake of the child.
And my point is, like, why do we put ourselves through all of this? You know, I mean, there is the other side of the story. Kevin, the man that she divorced, you know, where was his brokenness stemming from that he didn't realize that he had a good thing worthy enough to work on, worthy enough to keep his family together? You know, that's the stuff that hits me hard. It's just like, you know, you thought that you were going to get away with all this. You never actually decided to turn things around and be a committed husband. Why is that? Did you not have the tools? Did you not know where to go? You know? And then Wendy Williams' brokenness was that, you know what else am I going to do? How many people stay in a miserable, broken, busted relationship for the sake of the kids?
Yeah, a lot of people do.
And my point is that they don't get busy doing the work to fix it, right? They just say, oh, well, they throw their hands up and say, I'm just going to stay in this for the kids. You go your way, I go my way. I'm just going to get my ducks in a row. And one day I'm going to drop the guillotine on this situation.
But that makes it worse because you're committed to the marriage and not the relationship. And if you worked on restoring the relationship, it would make the marriage sweeter. And so the reality is, listen, we have enough issues and enough problems to deal with, let alone infidelity. So why don't we just make the decision not to cheat? Like, I'm sure there were ways that he could have avoided this affair. I'm sure that there were decisions that he could have made that would have protected him from himself and protected his marriage so that he wouldn't have had to go down this path that ultimately led to the space that they were in. And that's what we want to talk about on today's show. How do you avoid an affair? Now, we've seen so many examples in the media, so many examples amongst family and friends, people that we know, of what impact an affair has had on a marriage. And we always typically talk about what to do to recover, but today we want to talk about how to avoid it. And so that's what we're going to talk about. We want you to join today's conversation. You're listening to the Couples Academy Show. We'll be right back in just a second. We're Hassani and Danielle Pettiford, founders of Couples Academy, a private practice dedicated to saving marriages around the world.
We're not just recognized authorities on relationships. We're a real couple with real problems who almost called it quits. I was very frustrated. I became very disconnected, very jaded and cold.
We have 4 children, going on 20 years of marriage, and we practice what we preach.
Our mission: to change the way couples relate to one another and teach them the skills needed to improve the quality of their relationships. This is the Couples Academy Show. Welcome back, guys. You're watching the Couples Academy Show, and I'd like to come back and acknowledge some folks. Zach here is saying, morning from Ohio. We are using morning videos as an icebreaker to help us with our daily discussions. We are also going through your book, The Audacity of Marriage, to truly life-changing content. Thank you so much, Zach. We got a comment from you the other day. We really appreciate that you're diving into The Audacity of Marriage. It is a powerful book. It's our life story. It's also got 10 power-packed principles to help you to get through some of the issues that you're going through in your marriage. There's so many other folks in here. Good morning, Derek. Good morning from Baytown, Texas. My wife has watched you guys before, and I know she was paying attention, but how do I get her to tune in without invading her space? Some of that's going to come out in today's discussion. You know, we have Q&A Fridays tomorrow, which you can jump in here and get all your questions asked. But today, we're going to dive into a really juicy topic. I want to just acknowledge a lot more people here. Louisa, good morning. Thank you for joining us. Legendary Lady, so many questions. A Faithful Miss, good morning. Kia Bello, hey there. Frood, Dee, Derek, Torre, Vashan, LaShawn. The names go on and on. Matter of fact, day after day, week after week, there's more and more people to acknowledge tuning in from YouTube and Facebook. You may not be able to see all the comments, but we see all the comments. So if you don't see a lot of comments on your thread, you be the change and you make comments. We love to see you guys interacting with one another and supporting one another. I saw, I think it was Zach who told somebody else to go get the book, The Audacity of Marriage.
There it is.
That's a really helpful tip to help somebody get their spouse on board.
So guys, we're talking about the 5 ways to avoid an affair. There's a few things we want to go through, and we want to hit this one at a time. So number 1, avoid spending time alone with people of the opposite sex. That should be a no-brainer. But here's the reality, guys. There's always going to be temptation all around you. And sometimes it's just not conducive to be with a member of the opposite sex because there are natural attractions. There's something called the dangerous partner profile.
Yes.
And in that, there are 8 components that we talk about that can create instant attraction. And to be around someone that you find attractive, it may not just be physical attraction. It may be intellectual stimulation that they provide you. Maybe there's some social interaction, some shared interests or hobby that binds you two together. The point is, if I'm with another man and we have a shared interest, passion, and desire, ain't nothing going down. Because I am 100% heterosexual male, nothing is going to happen. But if you put me in a situation with a member of the opposite sex, anything can happen. And as we've been talking about the last couple of days, don't think that you're strong enough. Don't think that it can't be you. Don't think that you're above reproach. Don't think that that's just not how you're wired, because that is the beginning of the fall, when you don't put the proper boundaries in place to protect you from yourself. So Opposite sex interactions, you have to be on guard all the time.
Yeah, I mean, even if you consider yourself to be in a healthy relationship and you don't have problems, it's still a good idea to avoid being alone with the opposite sex because of our natural inclinations as opposite sex folks to be attracted to something, you know? But for sure, if you're unhappy, for sure, if you're going through things and struggling in your relationship, you want to avoid it at all costs. Avoid it at the workday cooler. You know, when you go to the cooler, you get your water, you're meeting that person at the same every time. Avoid, because you know if you're in an unhappy relationship, your guard is already down and you're already seeking and looking for something. So you want to make sure that you don't open up a door that you may not be able to close.
One of the things that I love about Billy Graham is that he had this strong conviction that whenever he was ministering to someone or counseling someone, particularly if it was a woman, he would never be in that office alone. The door would be wide open. Someone would have an eye shot of their interaction.
Integrity.
Right. It was all about integrity.
Nothing to
he
hide.
didn't want anybody coming in with any agenda accusing him of something that wasn't true, and he didn't want to fall susceptible. He would never drive in a car with a member of the opposite sex alone. And so these are the parameters that you have to put in place.
It's just smart.
It's just smart.
Right? Have a witness. If you go to the doctor's office, oftentimes if you have a male doctor, then there will be a female assistant in the room. That's safeguarding. That's just to protect you because of the human inclination to be attracted to the opposite sex. So it's just wisdom in action.
Absolutely.
The second one, refuse to act or even reveal feelings of attraction to someone other than your spouse, right? So again, we're talking about somebody whose defenses are down, you're struggling in your relationship, you're unhappy, and so you start to express your unhappiness to the opposite sex. It's one thing to express it to a very near and dear friend, someone who is your confidant, who you can talk to help, keep you from derailing, somebody who actually has your best interests at heart and has your marriage in their heart, right? You need to have prayer partners and people that want to support your marriage, not the opposite or the same sex friend that is single and can't wait for you to be single too, right? So be very picky on who you share with. But when you start expressing those issues with the opposite sex, now you're making that invitation. And I think we talked a little bit about this yesterday. You're going to know if you're dealing with somebody who has integrity by the fact that they will not even entertain your conversations. They're not going to spend time allowing you to pour and dump your trash into their backyard, right? They're going to avoid you like the plague. But if you actually find somebody that is willing to entertain you talking about your spouse, all the issues that you have with them, you know that they're the danger zone person. You know that they are willing to open that door with you and go down that path with you because they don't have the same integrity as you have.
Absolutely.
And be wary of those guys and girls.
And the other thing is, it's not just sharing what issues you're going through in your relationship, but truth be told, there may be an attraction you have for that other person. And when you begin to reveal what you feel, when you begin to reveal what you think about your own heart in connection to that person, that's when it is hard to come back from that, because it seems like the moment that you now know that I'm attracted to you or interested in you, then it increases the intensity of the conversations and you can't come back from that. It's like you've passed a threshold that is hard. You can't unlearn or unhear what you heard. And so if there's a mutual interest, then boom, it's like a windstorm and then you're off to the races. And so that's why if there's something you're feeling, a chemistry, a connection, that is a relationship that will ultimately compromise the integrity of your marriage, and you should separate from that part. And what happened to you? It's like you just dropped off the face of you know what, I'm busy, I'm working on some things, I gotta get myself together. You have to be strong enough to make those decisions, and if you are not, that's why you need to have an accountability partner who will speak into your life and not be your cheerleader and correct you when you are on the wrong path.
That's why you need the right people, right? Not the one that's like, girl, really? You need the friend that's like, you need to shut that down right now. That is dangerous. You are married, girlfriend. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, you really need those people in your lives that will tell you the truth and not allow you to stumble and fall. Sometimes, we have friends that actually wait for us to stumble and fall. They watch it. They'll talk to everybody else. Did you know so-and-so was doing that? Well, she needs to stop. But they won't tell you, And so sometimes you need to get around the right people. I think it's interesting how a lot of times we'll wonder, why on earth did this affair happen? They weren't even as attractive as me. Well, the truth is sometimes they connected on that intimacy level, right? Because they were able to share and connect and talk. And that's what we want to avoid.
Absolutely. Listen, we got 3 more tips that we're going to give you, 3 more ways to avoid an affair. But listen, the reality is many of you are hurting right now and you need something more. You need something different. Maybe you want to start a process. Your spouse is not ready yet. Listen, get what you got to get for yourself. Not only do we do couples counseling, but we do individual counseling as well. So listen, take a look at this, find out more about our services, and we'll be right back. And we've got a new segment that we want to introduce to you, so stay right there. This is the Couples Academy Show.
New. Welcome back, guys. Listen, one-on-one counseling can be the best move for you, even if your spouse is not ready. I just spoke with someone the other day who said, you know what, my spouse is not ready. I'm praying for them. I love them. I want them to come along in this process, but right now I just need to heal. I need to work on me. And sometimes that's really what it takes. It only takes one person to get started on that journey. And oftentimes when your spouse begins to see a transition in you, they get interested and they say, maybe I might want to change something. So if that's you, reach out. We have a free discovery call for you to understand what the process looks like working with us here at Couples Academy. But I want to go to a couple of comments here. Let's see, here it is. Yvonne says, the moment you realize someone is showing interest, it's best to immediately put up safeguards and boundaries to not allow the interest to flourish.
Very
and
true.
I couldn't say it better myself. I mean, at the end of the day, you already know. You know when you're feeling something. And guess what? Even if you're not feeling a thing, you know if they are. You can sense it, okay? Some things that we experience in life aren't really tangible. You don't have to have verbal evidence. Sometimes you can feel it, and that's exactly when you need to shut down and move away.
That's a good point. And it's crazy because usually a spouse can tell, what's up with homeboy? Like, why he all up in your face?
Mostly women.
Like, what's going on?
Mostly women.
Men know when other men are doing it, and women know when other women are doing
Yeah,
it.
it seems like husbands don't know when it's a woman
I
all
don't
in
know
your
what
face.
you're talking about.
Right.
We just friends. What are you saying? Well, Joker, that's my job, to be eagle eyes on all these jokers that are trying to surround you.
Right. I mean, and same thing with us. I mean, listen to your wives. Sometimes, men don't notice when a woman is attracted because they don't notice the subtleties and those things that women do to give off that essence of attraction. But we know, because we do the same thing. We did it to get them in the first place.
So your spouse is not being insecure.
No, listen.
They're not, listen to what they say, to your point, Danielle. It makes a difference.
Yes. Okay. Stephen Ampersand says, same. I never have a meeting with a woman on my team or otherwise without my door open and or a neutral third party present. I also make sure I don't position myself anywhere near the door. Protects them and me.
Straight up and down.
I mean, we have to have these safeguards in place. I mean, it really does. I mean, that last part protects them and me because who wants to be accused of something? People like accusing and suing these days. So you want to protect you and them.
All right, guys, let's go back to these points because we want to get into this next segment. But number 3, avoid outside influences and environments. We could look at that a few ways. Number 1, if you are around other individuals who do not have integrity, who do not have character, who are unfaithful, who are shady, being around them may not be good because eventually you become a product of your environment and you take on the beliefs, the mindsets, and the behaviors. Because the more you're around something, you become numb to it. It's just like, I guess it's really not that bad. You begin to rationalize why it's okay.
Yeah.
So whether it's an individual or a group setting, going to certain parties or certain events that I heard somebody say something wise. It's okay to have single friends if you're married, But bring your single friends into your marriage environment. Don't bring your married self into a singles environment, because that may not be conducive for your relationship.
Yeah,
not to say you can't go out anywhere, you can't enjoy yourself, but be careful and mindful of the environment you're going to.
And the people. You know, one of my clients have a major issue with her husband's friends in general. They're all cheaters. They're all unfaithful to their wives. So what? And I don't care that you've been friends with them since high school. That doesn't matter. We have to choose our friend like we choose our fruit. There shouldn't be all these bruises and blemishes that we're overlooking. If we're not able to bring our friends up to a higher level, if I'm not a good influence on you, if you're still out there in the streets acting a fool after 20 years, at some point I got to be like the bonsai tree. I got to start trimming things away and shaping my life. You know, that's why we prune and trim. At some point you need to start looking at the influences in your life and saying, are they pulling me out into the street and making me worse? Or are they making me better? Are they building me up? So, I mean, not only the influences of outside circumstances, but who are you around every day? See la.
There it is.
Okay, let's go to the next one. Make your spouse the priority. And we talk about this all the time. Guys, work out your issues. Get in the hands of some good counseling where you can find the support that you need to work out issues that you do not know how to work out. Sometimes you just get to an impasse in things. Couples tend to like to agree to disagree instead of figuring out how to agree. And when you've gotten to the point where you no longer know how to do that, you know, you just really can't cross that bridge, and now you're finding you're going in opposite directions. That's when you know it's time to get into some good counseling to get the support that you need. Additionally, you know, become explorers. Like, you know, people are always talking about, I don't know if I'm going to be able to have the same passion that I used to have in my relationship. You can if you develop new interests together. That's a big deal. And not just together. We talk about this a lot. How important it is for me to develop new interests and you to develop new interests apart from me, so that together we come together and there's more to explore about one another. There's more to talk about with one another. But at the end of the day, it's about pouring some energy into your marriage so that you can have what you desire.
Excellent point. And the last point, number 5, change your attitude about marriage. See, a lot of us don't have the right mindset or attitude. It's interesting. I hear this all the time. You know what? When I got married, I don't think I was ready for marriage, or I didn't have the right marriage mindset. I was still single-minded. I still thought that I could connect and hold on to such and such. I still thought that I can go and do such and such. And there's a complete shift that has to change. Certain things in you have to die, and certain things in you have to be born. And when you look at marriage as an obligation, then you will show up that way, frustrated and disgruntled. But if you look at a marriage as a gift, something that you're giving your spouse and something that you're receiving from your spouse, that shift in your behavior is a result of thinking different and having a new attitude. And so at the end of the day, folks, listen, you may have gone through turbulent times, you may have had challenges, and that's because most of us have done marriage wrong, right? That's why we have wound up where we have. That's why we tune in every single day to figure out how to begin to do marriage right. And so attitude is important, because it's not just about the how. Everybody's trying to focus on, well, what do I need to do? And what are the steps? And give me the strategy and give me the how. If you're not soaked and saturated in your why, the how is irrelevant. The why taps into your attitude. And when you become a believer in the possibility of what can be, it makes the journey that much sweeter. So these are the things that you can do to avoid an affair. Because when you're in your thoughts and in your feelings and you're in the wrong environment with the wrong influences, you begin to justify the temptation and you go down the slippery slope that leads to your destruction and your demise. And then your marriage is in a fragmented state. But when you follow these steps, all of a sudden things begin to change.
Absolutely. There's a comment here from Kia I think is so amazing. She says, I've never had counseling before and now I'm all over it. It's a strategy and a great help. Never felt so free.
It's an amazing feeling.
Kia. Isn't that a powerful statement?
It is an amazing statement, and this is something that we need to talk about regularly. Listen, folks, I want to ask you a question. We've been talking about the 5 ways to avoid right? An affair. But let's take this to the people's court. We want to hear from you. What do you have to say? If you have ways and strategies that you can provide us right now, put it in the chat. Text us at 678-200-8996. We want to hear from you. How have you avoided an affair that you almost got caught in? What advice would you give to your spouse or to a friend or to a family member in the same situation? This is an interactive dialogue between the two of us right now.
Yes.
So drop it.
Well, we got comments coming in. So Maria says, be sober and be vigilant. I mean, I think that's a good point. You got to be watching around. It's like this. I think in that case, that's when hyper-arousal is necessary, right? When you're trying to protect your marriage, you can be hyper as you want to be about making sure you're vigilant and you can spot some fool over there that's trying to take you down.
That's an excellent point. Excellent point. Yes, be vigilant. What else? Come on, give them to us. Give them to us.
Okay.
Because we want to share this information with as many people as possible. This is an opportunity for us to pour into one another, and that's the power of group.
Here's something else from Marie. She says, choosing friends wisely is so important. You need friends who will hold you accountable when you are going off course, not be your cheerleaders. Thank you again for that.
The right friends.
The right friends absolutely matter. Here's another one. Stop speaking negatively and bad-mouthing your spouse to outsiders. Perfect. We got another one. When you see the nature of a friendship changing, run away. Isn't that something? Wasn't that in the Bible? Who ran away? David ran. Wasn't it David that ran? Lost their coat? Who lost their coat?
Yeah. That was Joseph. Yeah.
Run away. Run away.
These are the things that you have to do. Like, if you were to follow these steps, it would make a major difference in your marriage.
Charmaine says, have eyes for your spouse only. Don't be misled.
In our book, we have a book called Pimpin' from the Pulpit to the Pews, Exposing and Expelling the Spirit of Lust in the Church. If you haven't got it, go on Amazon and get it today. And there's a chapter entitled Overcoming the Lust of the Eyes. And we walk you through so many examples of people who have fallen because they haven't controlled these. And so whether your eyes are fixated on an individual, whether your eyes are fixated on pornography, the point is your eyes aren't on your prize.
All right, the comments are coming in. Good job, guys. We want to know if you like this stuff. We're just trying to bring new elements to the show. Thank you for the comments. Keep them coming. We got D'Angelo saying, don't lie to yourself.
Self-deception is huge. When you lie to your spouse, it's because you're lying to yourself.
Wahida says, we had to learn this the hard way. Okay, well, you know what? Now you're on Easy Street because you're tuning into the Couples Academy show every day.
That hard knock life, that ain't good.
Okay, D. Faison says, appreciate you both. Positive, real talk at the same time. Thank you. Charmaine says, respect is the word. I can't agree with you more.
Aretha had that, right? Respect. And I think a lot of us have lost an honor and respect for our spouse, and that justifies why we do what we do. Mm-hmm. If I respect you, I show up in a particular way, and I don't have to be convinced to treat you right because I have an appreciation for you.
Absolutely. Adrienne says, don't expose your spouse's weakness to strangers, but to your spouse only. That's a big one.
We put our spouse on blast a lot. Mm-hmm. That's a good point.
Let's see. What else we got here? They're coming in. Always sharing with your spouse what goes on in your life, everything good and bad. Yeah. And I agree. I think that's a huge one. Yeah, I mean, just let's be transparent with one another. Hassani and I talk about this all the time that, we just had this conversation the other day and I was just like, Hassani, if I ever lay my eyes on another man, I'm just going to come to you and tell you. If I ever see a man that makes my heart flutter, that gives me the tingles and the wingles, I'm going to tell you. And you have the freedom to tell me. Because if we're transparent about these things, then we can get busy working on, well, what's wrong? See, I think what it is we go so quick to the hiding of our stuff. We get ashamed of the fact that we had a feeling or had a thought. Instead of exposing that thing, turn the lights on to that thing. Don't leave it in the dark and in the shadows where it festers like mold. Expose.
Absolutely. 2 more comments. Lisa says, make sure you compliment your spouse on a regular basis. Better yet, compliment yourself. Tell yourself how much you love you. Adore and admire yourself. This way you won't be caught up in compliments from the opposite sex.
That's good.
That is so true because a lot of people enter into affairs because of their own insecurity. Yeah. They don't value themselves. They don't think they're beautiful. So when they hear it from somebody else, they throw themselves. They become vulnerable to that person. So you got to.
Or they try to placate to that person because there are many folks that are in marriages where their spouse just does not compliment. They just are not that type. I say they're not really verbal. They don't compliment, but I know that they're attracted to me, or I know that they love me. Well, if they find somebody else complimenting, next thing you know, they're getting dressed for the somebody else, because it's not for you, because you don't look at them like that. You don't compliment them. So now they go into the job smelling good and looking good just for the compliments.
There it is. Somebody else said, don't have a work husband or a wife. That is a big thing, and we've heard this all. Oh, that's my work spouse. We're just connected, and everybody knows what's going on in that relationship between the two of you. It's beyond professional. It's become inappropriate. You begin to open up your heart and your mind and share your personal life, and that becomes a problem that creates a death blow to your relationship. The next one says, be transparent. These are great, guys. We appreciate you commenting on this particular topic. It lets us know that you're engaged and you're involved in this process and you're getting what you want.
Absolutely.
Listen, we're about to end this show. Hopefully you got something good out of it. We were talking about the 5 ways to avoid an affair. We've asked you before, if there's topics that you want to hear, let us know what it is so that we can give you what you need. Use it as a tool to open up a dialogue with you and your spouse to take your relationship to the next level. And if you're looking for help, if you want something more for your particular relationship, just contact us at the Couples Academy Show. It is 678-20-8996. Text us directly or set up a free discovery call by going to the website, and we would love to figure out how we can take your relationship to the next level. You've been watching the Couples Academy Show. See you tomorrow, because it is Relationship Q&A.
Don't miss it.
Get ready.
Bye.
All right, guys.
If you would like to be a guest on our show, or if you're interested in one of our restoration programs, contact us today at couplesacademy.org.